Firstly, I'd like to run through the funding budget categories available under this key action. For full information regarding the different budget categories, please refer to pages 67 and 68 of the 2019 Erasmus Plus programme guide. Once we've gone through the budget categories, we'll then take a look at the application form itself and the different sections you will need to complete before you can submit your application. Okay, so as you can see on the screen now, here are the budget categories available to you under this particular key action. Organisational support, travel, individual support and course fees are all unit costs. Therefore, these are flat rates and lump sums of funding is calculated on a per participant basis. Special needs support and exceptional costs are actual costs. Therefore, if you are thinking of applying for these two budget categories, full justification will be needed for the costs that you're wanting to receive funding for, as well as an estimate of how much funding you will need. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the application form itself. Before you're able to complete the application form, you will need to make sure that you have obtained a personal identification code, otherwise referred to as a PIC. For information on how to do this, you can find this on our guidance documents. I would recommend when you do come to complete your application form, please refer to our guidance documents, which can give you further details on the various sections and narrative sections that you need to complete, as well as the information that I'll go through today. And I would recommend also having a copy of the 2019 Erasmus Plus programme guide, just to guide you whilst you are applying, to make sure that you're applying for the correct things. Okay, so with the form itself, just a few details to let you know before we get started. The form itself will automatically save every 2 seconds, and you must remain online the entire time that you're actually completing the form, as this is an online application document. So to the left-hand side here, you can see the various different sections you're going to need to complete before you can submit. Now, I've gone through and just completed a few of these sections just to run through it with you today. So you can see there's indicators here, the little green ticks, to imply that I've completed that section and I can move on to the next section. The logo here, the red triangle, this indicator basically means that either some information is missing or not all of the rules have been respected. What you'll find is most of the individual questions are marked in the same way. This is to make it easier to identify any issues so you can go back and fix them. If the section is mandatory to complete, again, you get the indicator, as you can see on the screen now. It's basically telling me the field is mandatory. So I'm going to need to complete this before I can move on to the next section. So the first section we've got here, context, you're going to need to pop in your project title. You will also need to pop in your project start date. So by selecting that field, it's now given me a calendar, in fact, so I can select the date that's appropriate to my application. So mobility projects for schools can last between 12 and 24 months, and the project start date must fall between the 1st of June 2019 and the 31st of December 2019. So I'm going to select the 1st of June. My project duration, so I've got between 12 and 24 months. I'm going to select 12 months, and that's now given me an end date to my project. You will need to select English for language used, because you will be doing the application in English, and you need to select the appropriate UK national agency, UK01 British Council. So that's your national agency, but you can see the various different national agencies there as well. Okay, so we're going to go to participating organisations by simply selecting on the left-hand side. The first question that we come to is asking us, are we applying as a part of a consortium? under this key action, you can apply as a consortium. We're going to come back to that question in a moment. I just want to go down through to applicant organisation. So this is where you will need to put in your PIC. Now, just be advised, if you do happen to put a space when popping your PIC number in, it's going to come up as an error message. It's telling me that my PIC is invalid. This is purely because there is a space there. So please just be mindful of that when you're entering your PIC number. By doing so, once I've entered that, it's now pulled through the information associated with my PIC, so I can see my organisation. However, I do have the indicator to say that there is either some missing information or something is incorrect. So what I will then need to do is, on the right hand side, there's this logo, this little symbol. This will appear throughout the application. This is what you need to select, then go into that particular section and complete the fields that are mandatory. So I'm going to select organisational details. So this information has been pulled through from my PIC. However, we can see along the top here, these sections need to be completed. To navigate the application form itself, you can either scroll up and down, or you can simply select the appropriate section that's telling me that information is missing, and it will take me straight through to the section that needs to be completed. So you need to pop in the type of organisation. With the application form itself, what you'll tend to find is when it's asking for specific numbers, it will give you these little arrows to go up and down. And as you can see, as I complete these details, this has now gone from red to green. Okay, so associated persons, this will be your nominated legal representative and contact person. Your legal representative will be the authorised person from your organisation who will be able to sign documentation such as your grant agreement. Your contact person, this will be who the national agency will predominantly be in touch with. So what we would recommend is that any contact information such as email addresses, they are ones that you can access throughout the year, not just during term time. If at any stage during your application, or if you are successful during the duration of your project, your legal representative or your contact person leaves your organisation, you must get in contact with the national agency immediately to advise, and then we can then go through the process of how to update and change that person. We can only speak to the legal representative or contact person in relation to your application or project. We cannot speak to any other persons in regards to the details that we hold. So it's really important that you keep that information up to date. Okay, so for our legal representative, what we're going to simply do is select this icon and it will go through to the sections that we need to complete. And you're just going to need to go through. Actually, we'll just pop test in there, I think. Just go through, complete the details. You can see the sections that are mandatory as they're indicated in red, whereas department isn't, but I'm going to complete that anyway. Just make sure that all the information is up to date and correct. And you can just inform us if any of that information changes. Providing your organisation address, the address details is the same as what is noted on your PIC. You can simply select this option and it will populate that information for you automatically. Now, any stage to go back in the application, you can select these options here. So I'm going to go back to applicant organisation so I can continue finishing off my associated person's details. Now, if you want more than one contact person, you can do so. You simply just select this here. But you will need to note who you want to be the preferred contact. So this will be the person that the national agency will always get in contact with first to relay any information in regards to your application, or if you're successful in regards to your project, grant agreement, that kind of thing. So if you go on the contact details, you'll see it's asking for exactly the same information as previously. Okay. For background and experience, this is a narrative section. Simply pop in the details before each of these sections. It will give you a brief outline of what information they're requesting. And as I said, please refer to our guidance documents. You can see here that it lets you know the maximum characters, and then as you input information, any text and spaces will then be counted. You then asked if you've previously had funding, and as you'll find throughout the form itself, dependent on what you've selected, it may or may not populate further information, and then you just apply as many grants as appropriate to the information that's to yourselves. You can remove if you've accidentally clicked on grant, or if you didn't actually need to add one because you've not previously had funding, just let know. Okay. And then once you've completed all those details, they should all go green. I've not put my contact person's details in, so it's just remaining red there. So I'm going to go back to participating organisations. I've got that indicator there because I've not added all my contact person details in. Now here for hosting partner organisations, this is where you'll need to put your partner organisations PIC numbers in as well. Once you've done that, so in this instance, this is a demo PIC. My partner organisation is in Belgium, and you add as many as appropriate to your application. Now we're just going to go back to the consortium question. So by selecting yes, it's asking, have I previously been involved? And then I would need to give the consortium details on that. Now, as a part of a consortium application, every organisation involved in your consortium will need to give their PIC numbers. So they'll have to have a PIC, and you will need to enter the PIC numbers. And then it will be exactly the same process as it was for your own organisation. You'll go into that particular section and complete the mandatory sections on there, okay? Then once you're happy all the information has been completed, you'll then need to just start making your way through the various different sections, which you can see on the left-hand side. So this section here is your European Developmental Plan. Just go through the details. Now at the bottom here, you will need to select the relevant topics addressed by your project. Now I've picked 3 here. Again, the form is really helpful in the sense that by selecting a 4th there, it's told me that it must be between 1 and 3, and I've actually selected 4. So I'm going to need to take away one of them. So it's quite an extensive list. So make sure you pick the ones that are appropriate to your project proposal. The European Development Plan, this is an important part of the application, as it forms the basis on which you want to build your project proposal. So as I said, if you refer through to the guidance for further details on each of these sections. So now we go through to the project management section. Again, these are narrative sections, and you just need to go through and complete. So now we've got the activities. So under this particular key action, you've got the option of teaching assignments, structured courses and training events abroad, and job shadowing. So what you will need to now do is just go through the sections. The beginning part here is predominantly narrative. And then we've come through where we can add what activities we're looking to do on this particular project. You can see that I've started to input some of the details. We've gone into structured courses. So we go into activity details there. And again, at the beginning, you're given some information on what you're going to need to complete. And as you can see, I've entered one participant. Now, depending on what I input here, it will then give me a total there. So I'm looking for, in this particular instance, 5 participants requiring a grant and 3 not. And if I take that away, just 1, it will then be reflective in that section. So individual support, these, again, you've got the information, group 1, group 2. In this particular instance, I've put for 1 participant, and I've put the duration of 7 days. So this is including my 2 travel days. As you input the information, you can see it's starting to populate the figures in terms of funding based on a per participant basis for each of the sections you're completing. And you just need to work your way through. So I've selected that I want, so if I individual support, whereas if I take that away, just give me some information there. So I'm going to pop that back on. And I'm just going to pop, and you just select then what's appropriate to your proposal. With the travel, by selecting this link here, it will take you through to the distance calculator. This is where you'll need to input your starting point to your activity and the return, and then it will give you the correct distance band that you need to apply for. And then obviously you need to select that. Because I've put 2 in, but I've only put for 1 activity and 1 participant, the form has actually picked this up and told me that there must be a mistake, that I put the information incorrectly. Request for exceptional cost for expensive travel. Obviously, please remember you will need to justify why you were applying for that particular part of funding. So you just put your, that would just go in here. How many participants, and then you need to put the actual cost of what your what funding you would like for that particular section. Then you're going to need to put your course fees in for this particular section, because it's structured courses that I'm applying for. Depending on the activity you're applying for, you're not going to be asked for this on job shadowing, for example. And then down the bottom, we've got a budget summary. I'd always recommend that you go through your budget summary and check that you have applied for everything that you require for your proposal. We go back to the top of the form and we can see what we have and haven't completed. Then we're going to go through to participants, participants profile. Again, starts with a narrative section. Then you're going to need to enter the number of participants. If you require accompanying persons, you just make your way through the form. And obviously what we need to do is make all of these go green. See, I won't be submitting this form, it's just so I'm just going to leave them as they are. Okay, so special needs support, these are the additional costs directly related to participants with disabilities and accompanying persons. Again, you'll need to put how many participants, justification. You're going to need to put the actual cost that you're applying, the actual amount that you're applying for, and we've got the exceptional costs down the bottom there, and you can add by simply selecting add. If you do go to take away an option, it is going to give you a little prompt there just to check, do you want to remove this item, just to make sure you haven't pressed that in error. Follow-up section here again, just narrative sections that you're going to need to be completing. Okay, so once you get to your budget summary, it's really important that you go through each of the sections and ensure that everything that you require has been applied for. In this section as well, you've got a budget summary per activity type. So had we applied for job shadowing as well as structured courses, that's all going to appear here with the actual amounts that we're applying for. Then you're going to need to go to your project summary, complete these details. And down the bottom, based on the information you inputted at the start of your application, your partner organisations or any organisations as a part of your consortium application, if you are applying as a part of consortium, they will all appear here. So it'll have obviously the country, PIC number, all of that information. So just make sure that you're happy that all that information is correct. So then we go through to the annexes. So what you will need to do is download the Declaration of Honour. Now, the Declaration of Honour will need to be signed by your legal representative. So just so you can see as an example, this is the Declaration of Honour. Your legal representative will need to read through the document itself, check that they're happy with the information that's on there, and then they will need to print this document off and sign it with an original wet signature. Please make sure that you complete all of the sections on the Declaration Honour itself. If at any point you have any queries and you're unsure, please get in touch with the national agency or refer through to our guidance documents. Obviously on the date, you'll need to put the date that the document has been signed. Place, this should be the town or city your organisation or school is in. So on this basis, I would put Cardiff, because you can see my address is in Cardiff. Your legal representative name will need to be put on there. The national ID number, if you do have a national ID number, you can put that on there, but the UK National Agency doesn't require that. And in regards to the stamp, if your organisation does have a stamp, then please make sure you put the stamp on the Declaration of Honour. But if you don't have a stamp, just simply write no stamp. Okay, so once you've completed the form, the Declaration of Honour document, you'll then need to select this option here, Add Declaration of Honour. And then you will need to add any supporting documentation. So for example, a consortium application will need to complete, they'll need to download these mandates, and each of the organisations involved in the consortium will need to complete that, and they will then need to be uploaded with the application. Again, please refer to our guidance documents if you do need to check any specific supporting documentation you may need to submit as a part of your application. You can actually download a PDF of your application. We do really recommend you do this. It's a really good exercise in terms of checking the information that you've inputted. If you are successful, it's very good to refer back to your original application during the duration of your project. This is what the PDF will look like, and this is all based on the information that you've inputted. And it's worth having this for your records. Okay, you can actually share your application maybe with a partner organisation or another organisation. If you've applied as a part of a consortium, you simply click sharing, and then you'll need to put in the details of who you wish to share your application with and what level of access you would like them to have. Okay, and then you will need to go to the checklist. As you can see, I've ticked these, and you just go through the options, make sure that you're happy and that you've completed everything and that you've ticked each of these sections. You'll also then need to read the data protection notice, and then once you're happy with that, select tick. Once you're happy that you've completed all the information and all the sections are showing as completed, you are then able to submit your 2019 application. If you do have any queries, please get in touch with the national agency. The sooner you get in touch with us, obviously the quicker we're going to be able to get back to you, as closer that we get to the deadline of the 5th of February. It's going to get more and more busy with queries. So if you have queries now, get in touch now, and good luck with your application.